Good morning, everybody. Lisa Measure with Remax Top Producers. I am in beautiful Hotel Del Coronado down in San Diego. I am here for the strat planning for Tri-Counties Association of Realtors, and I'm a little bit early for the 9 a.m. Live video, but I wanted to share with you guys something that's really important that's really come down from the governor and legislators. So I have Christine Schachner, our Government Affairs Director from both Tri-Counties Association and Pacific West Association of Realtors, who knows so much more about government and rules and regulations and how this will affect us. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. So let me know, what exactly is this new rent control? Because everyone's saying, oh, this is great, we're excited because now rents are going to be capped out, but I don't think that's the truth. So can you just enlighten us on what exactly it is? What can we expect as a tenant, as a landlord?
Sure. There's two key components to AB 1482, if you hear that, and that's statewide rent control. It is 5% cap plus CPI, which is about 3% locally when we're talking about, so 8% cap per year that you're allowed to charge as a landlord, increase to tenants.
So what you're saying then, sorry to cut you off,
you're
but
great.
Landlords then every year you're only allowed to increase your rent by the minimum 5 plus whatever the cap is, which right now it's about 3.5%.
3%. Yeah.
So we're looking at like 8% maximum.
Correct.
So some landlords don't necessarily always raise their rent. Now this may make it to where they want to raise their rent because now they
Catching
can't
up
do it
for
to catch
the past,
up.
yeah.
For the past, other landlords may not have raised it the full 3%, full 8%. Now they're going to be like, well, now I can make it the 8% because now they say that I can. So
well,
there's
yeah.
different ways it may happen,
and
right?
in future years, they're thinking about market value of their property, and so they figure that they want to catch up if they have to do rehab. Because again, if you do rehab to your unit, you can't necessarily just charge or pass that on to the consumer, because again, the tenant is allowed the right to keep their rent at a certain rate, and the landlord cannot exceed that 8% in 1 year. Only twice can you increase it. You're actually rolling that rent baseline back to March 15th of this year. So March 15th, 2019 is when you're using that baseline for the increased percentage. And
for landlords then, if they did increase their rent and it was more than the 8% and they increased it after March, as my understanding, they have to go back and reduce the rent, but they don't have to pay that portion back. Is that correct?
The tenant doesn't have to. Yes, correct. The tenant is not entitled to that percentage that they overpaid, but you do have to roll that back to that baseline amount of March 15th. So if you increased it since then, you have to roll it back to that March 15th, effective January 1st, 2020, when this goes into effect.
Okay. So then how is this going to affect, I know with tenants it'll help in some ways because it'll make it to where they can't cap. So those
So it
landlords,
does include, so this bill, the vacancy decontrol is a key element of it. So if a tenant moves out, the landlord has a right to increase it as much as he or she would like as a new baseline. So again, the key proponents or key elements that we do appreciate and try to get in the bill as realtors were vacancy decontrol, single family homes are exempt as well, and anything built after 2005 is exempt as well.
So single family homes, define that for our consumers that may not know.
Right, so if you're renting out a home and you are not residing in it and you are a family trust or not a corporation, then you would be exempt from that rent control element. Another key feature of rent control now is just cause, meaning if a tenant has resided in the location or the building, whatever it may be, for more than 12 months, then they are entitled to what they call just cause. So no longer can you give the 30 to 60 day notice to vacate. You have to specify a reason why you are asking the tenant to leave. And if it's considered no fault, you do have to specify that and end up paying them. If it is at fault, meaning they violated the terms of the lease or they conducted criminal activity, you do have the ability to evict them. However, you still have to provide notice of why they violated the lease and a potential to cure that. So CAR, if you go to car.org, we have many resources there, about a 16-page pamphlet on Q&As, and then a 2-page handout on the breakdown of this law.
So what you want to make sure we're clear on all of this. So if, as a single family residence, if I have my own house that I own and now I'm renting out, am I exempt from that? Because I'm not a corporation, I'm just myself renting that out?
If it's no more than 2 rooms, and so that questionnaire will help you specify that. But if you're living in it, for the most part, you're covered if you're renting it out and you're living in it. But
okay,
there's some.
What if I have a second home? Mm-hmm. It's a single family residence, meaning it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Does that make me exempt or no?
It should make you exempt, yes. Okay. If you're renting out, it's a single family home, even if you're not living in it. But again, check, because each situation is different. Always call our CAR hotline. Duplexes are exempt in many cases, but it gets a little murky and depending on how many rooms you're renting out. So again, you need to follow up on that, just given your individual situation.
Okay, and then as a just cause evictions, I know this will help tenants a little bit more in regards to if an owner decided to, now the houses are selling for what I wanted to sell for, so I don't care about our lease, so I want to go ahead and sell. That it's protecting, in my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it my understanding that now, in order for that to happen, the landlord has to offer the tenant relocation costs?
So 1 month's rent is the relocation assistance, they're calling it, and that's if it's a no fault. So again, if they didn't violate the terms of the lease, if they didn't break the law, and they've been in there for more than 12 months, you do have to specify a reason to pay the 1 month's rent. But again, you can't, the just cause, meaning you can't just get rid of them because you just say, I'm going to want to do something with the property and you can't be in here anymore. You have to give a cause, meaning you're going to take the property off market, or you're going to sell, or you're going to rehab. And those are delineated in those 15 causes, half of which are essentially at fault, meaning the tenant has done something wrong, and no fault, meaning the landlord is within the prerogative to provide notice. But again, it gets a little tricky, so make sure you go online and check those out.
Okay, and then there's a couple other components to this. So I know that they changed the 3-day pay or quit rule regulation. That was a very minor change, but it is a change, where we used to count Saturdays and Sundays as day 2 or 3. So if you served on a Friday, then it would be the 3-day would be on Monday. But now it's not counting the weekend. So if you served on Friday, it would be Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Correct?
Yeah, so that's a little different. That's not built into the rent control. That's something different. That has to do with landlord-tenant relationships and the lease terms and when you can provide notice. With the new rent control law statewide, there is, you still have to provide notice, but then the ability to cure if you have a violation in some instances. So you need to check that rent control law based on what you're going to be noticing. Again, there's also legislation separate from the rent control bill that passed relative to what's counted as a holiday as part of that 3-day noticing period. So again, if you're looking to do these things and you're an individual situation, you need to go online and check with the CAR hotline as well.
Or you can give me a call as well. I'm happy to run through it with you. Again, my number is 909-583-7844. So just wanted to go back a little bit. So all of these rent control regulations that are happening at the state level, it does give an option for, and again, correct me because you know so much more than I do, at the local level, if a local city or county decides to have a stricter rent control, it allows for the stricter of the two to be initiated, correct?
Correct. So the way the law is written is that if a city or county has already implemented a rent control ordinance, which many have, you take Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, San Francisco, those are our notable ones. Those are in the city of Los Angeles, for instance, are already in place. County of Los Angeles did implement a rent control ordinance just recently, and that it caps it at 3%. So it's much more restrictive. and so that 3% would apply, not the state 8%. So you're looking at the case of local jurisdictions being more stringent, and those apply. So you need to look at each jurisdiction that you're in to make sure you have the right information.
And even with Long Beach, they're a little bit different with regard to the relocation, because
Correct.
the statewide is 1 month, but
Long Beach is 2 months. So again, each jurisdiction differs, and you need to take a look at that.
So it's not just looking at the state level, but looking at locally. Now, I don't want anyone to be scared of your rent's this or rent's that, or I don't know if I want to be a landlord anymore, or this or that. If you have questions, feel free to give me a call. If I don't have the answer, I'll talk to Christine, and she'd be happy to help me out, and we can look it over the forms and the ways. So don't be afraid to still purchase a home for investment. It's still a great time to purchase a home with the house prices they are and with interest rates they are. So don't frown away from that. And if you're a tenant and you are thinking about maybe your lease is up, and because the interest rates are down, maybe it's time to purchase, because now you don't have to worry about the rent control. Now you can go ahead and buy your house. And most of my buyers that they were renters before are actually spending a lot less on their mortgage than they were even for rent. So if you guys are interested, give me a call, 909-583-7844, and the website that Christine has been talking about is car.org. Thank you guys for joining us. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again, Christine.